We so often work and work and work at something and try our hardest to just make things turn out a certain way. But life isn't always that easy. And so sometimes quitting might be the right option. Today we're going to talk about how to know when it's time to quit something, when maybe it's just time to make a change, to cut our losses, or more importantly, whether it's really important that you do, whether you've reached the point where staying where you are, staying in your current situation is not helpful and maybe even hurtful. Now, I obviously can't give you the answer. I don't know your situation, but I can give you a bunch of helpful questions and things to ponder so that you can assess what is right for you and whether quitting is something you should consider. Welcome back. I'm Amber with Solutions for Simplicity. This channel is about helping you figure out your life, how to simplify, how to prioritize, how to align your time with your values, and hurry up and do what you must so you have more time for who and what you love. If you are brand new, I am so happy that you found me. Please take a minute and subscribe down below. Don't forget to click that bell so you get notified when I make a new video every week. And as always, it really helps a lot when you like these videos and let me know what you want to see more of. All right, let's start with the fact that quitting tends to get a bad rap. I think most of us just assume that to quit is inherently bad. It's something we should avoid. And we're always given that message from the time we're a young child that you just have to work harder, you have to keep going, you have to push through. But you know what? Sometimes that's not always helpful, and many times it actually can be hurtful. So we can step back and we can ask ourselves a series of very real practical questions to help figure out whether we need to stick it through or if quitting is actually what we need to do more than anything. The ultimate question to be asking ourselves is this just a challenge, an obstacle that I need to get through? And if I just keep going a little bit longer, will I reach that success? Or is this about needing to let go? Is this about letting go of control, facing uncertainty, facing the unknown? Quitting can be hard and it involves so much fear because we don't always know the alternative. We know what we have and we know we don't love it. Maybe we're actually really, really upset with how things are. But sometimes making a change and choosing to quit is the right answer. Other times, needing to stick it out, staying with it, and just pushing through, that's what we are really being called to do. How do we know? Let's talk about some very real questions that you can ask yourself to figure that out. The first thing you should ask yourself is, why are you doing this? What was your initial motivation for getting started and taking it on in the first place? Was it something that you wanted to do? Was it something that you needed to do? Was it something that you felt pressure to do or you thought you needed to do for someone else or to get somewhere you wanted to go? Was it something that was forced upon you and you had no choice from the beginning? All of these different situations make a difference in whether now is the right time to quit or not. And so only you can answer that for yourself. Remember that we can't be afraid of other people's judgments. And that's so hard. I mean, living out our truth and being immune to other people's opinions doesn't come naturally. We inherently want the approval and we want to be liked by people around us. We want to fit in, but we also know that if we're not true to ourselves and we're not being consistent with what is important to us, then we're not going to be living the life that we should be. And it's really important not to let other people's expectations dictate our lives. So the more that this was something that was thrust upon you to begin with, or you felt like you had no choice to take on in the first place, the more that maybe it's time to quit, the more that you should consider something else that's more in line with your true self. The second question to ask yourself is, what are you getting out of it? No matter why you started doing this, everything we do has an associated benefit and cost. And obviously, to the extent possible, we want to make sure that we are maximizing the benefit, minimizing the cost. So are you getting financial resources from this? Or is it costing you money? Is it something that is helping to free up your time for what really matters to you? Or is it something that is just taking gobs and gobs of your time without leaving you time for what you really care about? If you're not getting anything out of it, or if it's costing you too much, then the answer should be clear. I mean, yeah, there are still times where we've got to start at the bottom and work our way up. We can't expect to have instant success overnight. There's effort that goes into whatever we're trying to achieve. But at the same time, there needs to be that happy balance between what we're putting in and what we're getting out. And if you have been putting in more and more and more and not seeing any results for a long time, then it might be time to quit and focus your effort somewhere else. A quick side note here is that we often have responsibilities and obligations and, other people that we're trying to provide for. It's one thing to take care of ourselves, but many of us have families and other people that we're trying to support. And so our decisions clearly do have an impact on their well-being as well. So yeah, as hard as it is, there might be times where you have to stick with something a little bit longer because your family is dependent on the financial benefit it's providing. But we're going to talk very soon about how to still make movement towards getting out of that position, so stay with me. Question number 3 is to ask yourself how well things are going. Are things running pretty smoothly even though you don't feel very fulfilled? Or do you just feel like you are not making any traction and you're miserable and you're hitting all these obstacles? You're just kind of running into roadblocks. Failure might be an actual sign that we're meant to quit. I know that oftentimes we don't want to recognize that in the moment, but sometimes there's a grander design and the world is leading us to make a change by putting up those stop signs and those closed doors in front of us. So really pay attention to whether things just seem like they're falling into place effortlessly, or if you're just feeling like you're failing time and time again. If you feel like that, if you feel like nothing is going your way, then it might just be time to quit. Number 4 is super important. It's so imperative to step back and think about how doing this makes you feel. Is it energizing or is it draining? Is it something that gives us life, gives us joy, makes our body feel like we can do this? Or is it something that leaves us feeling exhausted and depleted? Now, being exhausted isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes when we work super hard at something we love, we end the day with that sense of I'm so tired, but you're also so energized because you made progress on something. So it's only you that can tell the difference, and your body does know. So listen to that. Listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Are you feeling exhausted and just desperate for a change? If so, it might be time to quit. One other thing about this step is that even if things on the outside are actually going quite well, and maybe you are being successful or doors are opening and things are just happening fine, that doesn't mean that your body doesn't still know that you're not living out your true potential. So really do pay attention to those physical signs or your emotional well-being. That's what's really gonna help you figure out if it's time to quit. And if you need a litany of what some of these signs can be, definitely check out my Do You Need to Simplify Your Life video, where I talk about all of these ways in which we get those hidden messages and we need to pay attention. The 5th question to ask yourself is, how much time is this taking you away from who and what you love? We all know that time is a finite, limited resource. There is only so much to go around, and so all this time that you are putting into what you're doing, that's a sacrifice taking you away from whatever else you may want to be doing or whoever else might need you to be spending time and attention on them. So don't discount how important the time factor is. And if something is requiring too much time or more time than you can give it, then it's so critical to set those boundaries and perhaps even make big changes like quitting so that you get back on track. And again, we can't always avoid this. We do perhaps need to work to provide for our families, but we can try and minimize the time we're away from them or hurry up and do our work faster. Remember, that's the whole point of all these things I want to share with you, is how you can hurry up and do what you must so you have more time for who and what you love. Just know that that is possible. And again, this is such a complex thing to figure out that you need to evaluate for yourself. I just want to give you all of the tools and tricks that I can to help you figure it out. Okay, here is where we really get down to business. The sixth thing you need to ask yourself is, what would you do instead? It's so easy to just get frustrated, to feel stuck, and want to make a change. But it is important to really have a plan in place, or at least have an idea of what we could or would do instead. In other words, what is your alternative? What do you dream of doing? And how can you make that more feasible? Because we need to know what we're actually working towards. I talked about this in my biggest productivity mistakes video, but time is a zero-sum game. It's gone as soon as we use it, and we have to choose wisely. Building onto that, the seventh thing is the most important thing to consider. If it's time to quit, or if we want to quit, we really need to work to have a plan in place. Maybe we need to light a fire under ourselves and set a deadline for when we're going to make this change. Or maybe we need to first step back and research what it would take to get where we want to go. For instance, if you're feeling so stuck and unfulfilled in a 9-to-5 corporate job, and maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to work from home, or you want to be a stay-at-home parent, it's really important to think about what it would take to get there. Actually do the math. What is your current income? What are your expenses? Can you cut back and make changes? Are there things you can live without? Are there ways that you can make extra money? And then if it's a matter of learning new skills and knowing how to do something different, take some time and figure out exactly what you do need to know to do whatever it is you want to do differently. And then before you quit, spend some time, at least a few minutes or hours every day, working to improve your skills in those areas. So again, change is never easy, but sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes quitting really is the right answer. Only you can make that choice. Only you can answer that for yourself. But I just want to encourage you to explore all the options and to really listen to how you're feeling and what's happening for you, and make sure that you are living the life that is up to your fullest potential. Just trust that you will figure this out. Maybe you don't have the answers now. Maybe you don't know everything you need to know starting out, but you can still quit and figure it out as you go. Just trust in yourself. Trust in the process. Now just remember that even if you do decide to quit, few decisions in life are really, truly permanent. So you can always explore some options, try something out, and if it doesn't work, you can change your mind. You can go back to how things were, but don't hold yourself back right now. If it feels like quitting is really right for you, then I encourage you to make those hard choices and not be afraid of the changes that will come. Change isn't easy. It's inevitably a loss because we know what we have and we don't know what we will have after the change, but we can't let that fear rule our lives. Now, please do consider that life isn't always wonderful, right? It's not just about being happy 100% of the time. It would be great if it was, but that's not reality. On the other hand, we're not supposed to be miserable. And so I want you to really find that balance between doing what you must and doing what you love. Don't let yourself get stuck in a place that isn't right for you. Please don't be afraid to take action. Please don't be afraid of any judgment on the part of others, right? Nobody else's opinion matters but yours. All right, as always, I have put the things we've talked about, the questions that I've put forth for you here into a special resource that you can download for free by clicking the link below in the description. I hope that it helps you, and I just want you to know that you are not alone. I'm here supporting you, and I would be willing to bet that you have so much more support around you than you realize. Don't let yourself settle. Don't think that you can't quit or you can't make a change, because that power is always in your control. Now, if you're looking for even more ways to transform your life or a more structured process for how to go about making those big changes, then check out my Ready, Set, Reset Your Life program. It's that short 21-day course that is designed to help you get to that better place. And I walk you through all these different steps based on my experience, but more importantly, based on all this academic research I've done to help you build the life that you love. All right, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. Please take a minute and make sure and subscribe down below. Definitely share this video with somebody that might need to quit something and be having a hard time making that change. And then come back every week. I will see you next Thursday with a new video. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, and I'll see you next week.